It began in the darkest corner of the galaxy, far beyond the well-lit star lanes, far beyond the trade routes, far beyond the comfortable borders of empires that believed they understood power. In a forgotten star system where the stars burned weakly like dying candles, an old alien mining colony trembled under the weight of fear. Dust storms raged across the barren moon where miners once proudly carved out precious ores, the kind that supplied half the galaxy with technology. But now the colony shook not because of storms. No, the ground shook because of the Skrev. The Skrev, a brutal war-hungry species known for ripping planets apart for entertainment, had arrived in full force. Their ships descended from the sky like burning knives, metallic wings cutting through the darkness with crimson thrusters. The colony's shield flickered weakly, a thin blue veil barely holding together, sparks flying from failing generators. Inside the main command center, alien workers scrambled across the control panels, hands trembling, voices cracking, alarms screaming in every direction. Mothers held their children beneath metal tables while old men prayed to quiet gods that no longer listened. The Skrev didn't invade quietly. No, they tore through the skies with fire and hatred, launching drills toward the colony walls, preparing to break through any second. Static burst across communication screens. Every distress call the colony sent was met with silence. The Galactic Council ignored them. Major empires ignored them. Trading partners ignored them. No one wanted to anger the Skrev by helping this weak colony. It was a death sentence. No one interfered when the Skrev marched. No one except someone unexpected. Deep in the colony's old communication tower, covered in dust and half-functional, a single forgotten system blinked alive. A small device older than most civilizations vibrated with a low hum. It was an antique transmitter, built by humans 2 centuries ago, gifted to the colony in a moment of friendship long before the colony was abandoned by the galaxy. And as the Skrev ships prepared their landing, as children screamed and the shield generator sparked its last breath, the old device pulsed. The colony's leader rushed to it, his 4 hands shaking, eyes wide with a desperate mix of fear and hope. He whispered, "Please, please let this still work." With trembling fingers, he activated it, sending a tiny signal across the void. Not a normal distress call, but a human code. An ancient human code. A code humanity had told them to use only in their darkest hour. The moment the device sent the signal, a small light flashed green. Then darkness. The transmitter died forever. And somewhere across the galaxy, something woke up. The Skrev didn't stop. They landed their huge metal claws into the colony walls, tearing through the outer structure like peeling fruit skin. The colony's shield collapsed in a final spark, and the Skrev roared triumphantly as they prepared to storm inside. Their commander, a tall creature with bone armor and glowing red eyes, lifted his spearstaff and shouted in his guttural voice, "Break everything. Take everyone. Leave nothing." The colony fell silent. The people inside knew they were going to die. Until suddenly, a sound echoed across the sky. Not loud. Not thunder. Not an explosion. No. It was silence. A strange, unnatural silence. A shadow passed over the colony, slow, massive, and silent as death. The Skrev looked up, annoyed, expecting some broken asteroid to drift by. But what they saw wasn't a rock. It was a shape. A ship. A ship bigger than any Skrev war cruiser. A ship with no lights. No ID. No visible weapons. It simply drifted above the colony like a dead beast floating through deep water. The Skrev laughed. Their commander grinned, exposing razor teeth. One ship? They send one pathetic ship. But the moment they scanned it, everything changed. The second the Skrev scanners touched the hull of the silent vessel, every system in their ships glitched. Lights flickered. Weapons powered down. Crew members screamed as their visors displayed error after error. The commander slammed his fist into his console. "What is this?" he shouted. But deep inside the Skrev ship, their scanners repeated one phrase. Unknown human signature detected. Unknown human class. Unknown human energy source. Possible threat level. Extreme. The commander snarled. "Impossible. Humans are weak. Humans are inferior. Humans do not have ships like this. Except, they did. Deep inside the drifting warship, something ancient stirred awake. Lights flickered softly along the interior halls. Long dormant systems hummed with power. In the weapon bay, rows of silent drones lifted their heads, blue visors glowing. In the command room, a figure sat upright. A human commander in deep black armor, helmet on, eyes reflecting light like a cold moon. The ship's AI activated and whispered, signal received. Colony in danger. Time to repay the debt. The commander stood slowly, cracking his neck. Prepare the ship, he said in a calm, cold voice. The Skrev think they cannot be stopped. Let's show them the truth. Outside, the Skrev watched in disbelief as the silent human warship rotated smoothly, angling its massive hull toward them. Still no weapons visible. Still no engines glowing. Still no sound. And then, a tremor rippled across the Skrev fleet as they felt something they had never felt before, fear. The human ship emitted a deep vibration, like the low heartbeat of a giant. Skrev soldiers clutched their chests, gasping. The commander yelled, "Fire everything." The Skrev opened fire with all weapons at once. Laser cannons, plasma missiles, shock torpedoes, turning the sky into a burning river of destruction aimed directly at the human vessel. But every blast vanished before touching the hull. Not exploded, vanished. Like they were eaten by the void. The Skrev screamed in confusion. Inside the human ship, the AI whispered, "Shield stable. Enemy fire negligible." The commander walked toward the center control pillar. "Activate the repayment protocol." The AI answered, "Protocol active." At that moment, the human warship unleashed something the galaxy had never seen. A weapon that didn't shoot beams, didn't launch missiles, didn't burn or freeze or slice. It simply erased. An invisible wave expanded outward, silent and precise. One by one, Skrev ships turned into dust. No fire, no sound, no warning, just dust. The commander of the Skrev war fleet watched helplessly as his ships disintegrated. He shouted, "Stop it! What are you?" But the human ship didn't answer. It didn't need to. The truth was obvious. This wasn't a human warship. This was something older. Something built from humanity's darkest wars. Something designed not to conquer but to end threats instantly. It was a promise made 200 years ago, forged into steel. Outside, the colony watched in stunned silence as the sky filled with drifting ash where the Skrev fleet once stood. Children peeked through windows, their fear melting into awe. The colony leader fell to his knees, tears running down his face. "They came," he whispered. "Humans. They came." As the final Skrev ship tried to run, a single blue light in the human warship blinked. The voice of the human commander echoed across space in a deep, calm tone, to the Skrev commander. "Earth remembers. The colony you attack once saved human children during the Great Starfall. Today, humanity repays that debt." The Skrev commander trembled. Sweat dripped down his hard skin. He had attacked hundreds of species before. He had burned planets. He had crushed colonies. But never, not once, had he felt fear like this. His voice cracked. "What do you want from us?" The human commander replied, "Nothing. Only this." Then the weapon pulsed again, and the last Skrev ship vanished. Silence fell again. Not deathly silence, hopeful silence. The colony's lights flickered back on. Families ran out of shelters. Workers dropped to their knees, crying in disbelief. They looked up at the silent warship, drifting peacefully now, like a guardian watching over them. The colony leader grabbed a communicator and whispered shakily, "Human vessel, who are you?" The reply came softly, like a warm breeze through a quiet forest. "We are the children of Earth. We repay every debt. We protect those who once protected us." The commander's voice lowered. "You are safe now." But inside the human warship, deeper alarms suddenly activated. The AI whispered urgently, "Message intercepted. Galactic Council scanning us. They know we're here." The commander smiled behind his helmet, a slow, dangerous smile. Let them come. The AI hesitated. They will fear us. He responded, good. And as the warship slowly powered its engines, preparing to escort the colony's survivors, the galaxy trembled. Because humanity had awakened. And the stars had no idea what was coming next. When the last Skrev ship disappeared into dust, the colony didn't cheer. They didn't celebrate. They didn't even breathe normally. It was the kind of silence that wrapped itself around the heart. A silence born not of fear, but of shock so deep that no one knew how to feel, how to speak, or how to understand what they had just witnessed. Mothers stepped out of underground shelters still clutching their children, blinking at the empty sky as if expecting the enemy to reappear. Miners crawled out from behind fallen metal beams, their bodies shaking, their eyes wide and disbelieving. Old men leaned heavily on canes, gripping them with trembling fingers while staring at the massive shadow above them. The shadow of the silent human warship. For years the colony believed humanity was weak, distant, quiet, uninterested in galactic conflicts. But the warship above them didn't look weak. It looked ancient. It looked powerful. It looked like a sleeping titan that had finally opened its eyes. Inside the human vessel, the commander stood still, hands behind his back, watching the colony through the observation window. The AI lights flickered softly around him, displaying reports, casualty estimates, weapon logs, and incoming scans from distant empires already trying to analyze the ship. But his eyes never moved from the colony below. He saw their fear. He saw their hope. He saw their confusion. And beneath his helmet, his jaw tightened. The aliens below were not strangers. They were the descendants of the species that once saved human children during the Great Starfall, back when humanity was weak, scattered, and nearly extinct. Back when a small alien fleet sheltered human refugees and refused to abandon them, even when larger empires demanded they surrender Earth's survivors. Humanity never forgot. Humanity never let go of that debt. And now the time had come to repay it. On the colony surface, the leader, an elderly alien with pale blue skin and 4 trembling hands, walked slowly to the emergency communication tower. The tower had been cracked by a Skrev missile, its wires hanging like ripped veins, sparks flickering from exposed circuits. But it still worked enough for one more message. He activated the microphone with shaking fingers. Human vessel, this is the colony of Darathai 9. Do you hear us? His voice trembled not from fear, but from an emotion heavier than anything else, gratitude mixed with disbelief. There was a pause. A deep, calm voice finally answered. We hear you. The leader covered his mouth with one hand, exhaling hard, tears burning in his eyes. For centuries, the galaxy mocked the old story that humans repaid their debts. But now, that story stood in the sky. The alien leader wiped his face and continued. We thought no one would come. The council ignored us. The empires abandoned us. But you, his voice cracked. Why would humans cross the galaxy for us? Inside the human ship, the commander closed his eyes for a moment. Memories of old historical footage flashed through his mind. Alien ships shielding human transports, alien soldiers fighting side by side with dying humans, alien medics tending to human children during the darkest days of war. He answered quietly, because your ancestors once protected ours. Humanity pays every debt. The colony leader fell to his knees. Not out of weakness, out of respect. His people gathered behind him, eyes full of tears, whispering prayers of thanks to whatever force had sent humanity to them. But the moment of relief didn't last long. Alarms flared inside the human warship. The eye's voice cut through the silence. Commander, incoming scans from multiple star systems. The Galactic Council is observing us. The commander didn't move at first. Then he asked, are they responding to the colony's old distress signal? The AI paused. No. They are responding to our energy signature. The commander smirked faintly behind his helmet. They're afraid. The AI responded, they should be. Lights brightened across the bridge as the warship fully powered its engines. The hull began to glow faintly with blue patterns, ancient human war runes etched into the metal, symbols no alien had seen in thousands of years. The galaxy thought humans abandoned their ancient ways. They thought humanity was peaceful, gentle, harmless. They were wrong. Back on the colony, children pointed at the glowing patterns on the human ship with awe. One child tugged at his mother's sleeve. "Are they angels?" The mother knelt, holding him close, whispering, "No, child. They are something stronger." Workers began clearing rubble, not out of obligation, but out of hope. They suddenly believed the colony might survive. A group of young miners stared up at the warship with hearts pounding. One whispered, "If humans fight like this for their friends, how do they fight for themselves?" Meanwhile, in the grand chambers of the Galactic Council, alarms rang across glowing screens. Counselors, tall, thin, armored, feathered, scaled, argued among themselves, voices rising in panic. Human activity detected in Sector 90. Energy readings exceed known human technology. The Skrev fleet has been wiped out completely. One counselor slammed his fist on the table. Humanity was supposed to be irrelevant, weak, undisciplined. Another whispered, "Then how did they build a ship like that?" The room fell into fearful silence. A single question hung in the air like a blade. What have the humans become? While the galaxy panicked, inside the human warship something far more important happened. The AI displayed a holomap of the colony's structure. "Several survivors are trapped in the lower mines," it reported. "Environmental breach imminent." The commander nodded. "Send the boarding team." A hatch opened on the underside of the warship. Then silence. No roar of engines. No bright flashes. Just shadows, shadows shaped like humans, falling from the sky with controlled precision, black armor absorbing all light as they descended. They landed softly on the colony ground with no sound, no dust, no vibration. The colony residents backed away, stunned by their presence. The human soldiers didn't speak. They simply walked toward the collapsed mine entrance with determination. One miner shouted, You can't go in there. The tunnels are unstable." The human squad leader turned his helmet slightly, voice calm. "We've handled worse." Then the team marched inside. The tunnels groaned, rocks shifted, metal beams bent dangerously. But the humans moved through it all like they had done this 1,000 times before. They reached the trapped survivors, families huddled behind broken machinery, coughing, injured. A mother held her baby close, tears flowing down her face. When she saw the humans, she gasped, "Please, help us." The human soldier knelt gently in front of her, his voice softer than anyone expected. "We're here now. You're safe." He lifted the baby in careful arms, passed it to another soldier, and began guiding everyone toward safety. Back on the surface, workers watched as humans carried injured survivors with a mix of strength and tenderness that no alien expected. A Skrev survivor, half buried under debris, tried to crawl away, terrified of the humans. But the human squad leader lifted him out and placed him down gently, saying, "Your war was with the colony, not with us." The Skrev stared up in confusion, unable to understand a species powerful enough to erase fleets yet merciful enough to save an enemy soldier. When the last survivor was brought out, the colony erupted into sobs, hugs, and tearful celebrations. The humans didn't wait for praise. They simply nodded and began walking back toward their ship. But the colony leader rushed forward, shouting, "Wait! Please tell us your name. Who sent you?" The commander stepped out of the shadows, armor still glowing with blue marks, helmet reflecting the dying sun. He looked at the colony leader for a long moment, then said one sentence that shook everyone, "We are Terran Command." The colony whispered the name like a myth. Terran Command had been only a rumor for centuries, a hidden force humanity supposedly disbanded. But now the rumor stood before them in living form. The commander raised his hand to the sky. The warship above hummed softly, preparing to leave. The colony leader called out desperately, "Will you return if we are threatened again?" The commander paused. Behind his visor, his eyes softened. He answered, "We promised your ancestors we would always come." Then the warship opened a glowing blue portal, something the galaxy believed humans could never create, and slowly drifted into it. As it vanished, the colony stood in stunned silence. They survived. Because humanity came. Because humanity remembered. Because humanity repaid a debt, but the story wasn't over. Far above, in distant empires filled with fear, the Council issued a secret order: monitor Earth. Humanity must not rise again. Yet humanity had already risen. And the next time the galaxy threatened them, there would be no warning. The warship did not jump into silent space immediately. Instead, it drifted for several minutes above the battered colony, like a guardian unwilling to turn its back too quickly. Below, the survivors watched the dark giant move with slow grace, almost like it was listening to the heartbeat of the people it had saved. And in a way, it was. Deep inside the warship, the AI monitored every life sign on the moon, scanning for hidden Shockwave signatures, unstable structures, trapped survivors, or any sign of renewed danger. It wasn't just a machine. It was an ancient protector tied to a promise older than most civilizations now alive. But something unusual caught the AI's attention. "Commander," it said softly, "I'm detecting emotional distress from several life signatures. Their readings are high. You may wish to address the colony one last time." The commander placed his helmet beneath his arm and stepped forward. "Open the channel." Down on the colony surface, every screen flickered. Every old communicator sparked with life. Every emergency terminal hummed. The colony leader blinked in surprise and looked up as the commander's face appeared on the screens. A human face, sharp-eyed, scarred, calm but heavy with purpose. The leader stepped closer, breath-catching. It had been generations since anyone in the colony had seen a human face. The commander spoke with a steady, warm voice. "You are safe now. Our boarding teams confirm there are no more Shockwave forces here. Your damaged systems have been stabilized. Medical supplies have been dropped. We are leaving you protected." A child near the front row stared at the screen, clutching her mother's leg. "Are you leaving us forever?" she whispered. The commander heard the question through an open microphone, and something softened in his eyes. He leaned closer to the screen. "No. Humanity does not forget its friends. You will never be alone again." The colony erupted into quiet sobs. No cheering. No shouting. Just soft, relieved crying that had been locked inside their hearts through years of fear. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Shockwave received the first reports of the colony's destruction. Only, it wasn't destroyed. Their warships were. Their commanders were. Their pride was. Panic tore through the Shockwave hierarchy like wildfire. The Shockwave warlord struck his throne with a blade, furious enough to crack metal. A single human ship did this? One. His generals bowed their heads, trembling. "Yes, warlord. They erased our fleet in seconds." The warlord leaned forward, eyes burning with disbelief. "Humans?" He spat the word like poison. Those small, soft creatures? But deep down, even he knew the stories. The ancient warnings carved into forgotten ruins. The myths older than empires. "Do not provoke humans." He snarled but said nothing further, because even a warlord knew fear. Back near Darathai 9, the human commander turned away from the colony screen as the AI delivered a new alert. "Commander, incoming encrypted message from Earth. Priority level Omega." The commander's heartbeat steadied. Omega was a rare code, used only in times of extreme danger or extreme revelation. "Play it," he ordered. A hologram flickered to life. A high-ranking Terran admiral wearing ceremonial armor marked with the crest of the old Terran alliance. The admiral spoke seriously. "Commander, your intervention at Darathai 9 has been observed across multiple star sectors. The Galactic Council is panicking. The Shockwave are mobilizing. And several other empires have begun analyzing your ship through long-range sensors." He paused, eyes narrowing. "You understand what this means?" The commander nodded slowly. "We're exposed." The admiral nodded. "Yes. The galaxy now knows that humanity has risen again. The question is whether they will fear us, or try to destroy us before we grow stronger." The commander exhaled. "Let them try." The admiral leaned closer. Your next mission has been approved. We need more information. We need to know who will move against us first. And we need to ensure our allies, the ones who still remember the old treaties, remain protected. He proceeded to send coordinates to a distant system. Go here. Investigate council movements. And be careful. The galaxy has changed. The empires now rule through fear. They believe strength is theirs alone. The commander smiled faintly. They have no idea what strength is. The hologram faded. The commander turned away, but an emotion stirred in him, an emotion he rarely allowed himself to feel. Pride. Not pride in himself, but in humanity, in what they built, in what they survived. Centuries ago, the galaxy ignored Earth when it burned. They watched humanity struggle alone. They assumed humans would die quietly. Instead, humans rebuilt in the shadows. They advanced in silence. They forged technologies so powerful that even their allies didn't fully understand them. And now, when one lost colony whispered for help, humanity arrived like a storm. Back on the colony, something unexpected happened. A young miner, no older than 20 cycles, climbed onto a broken platform and shouted through a cracked intercom. People of Darathai 9, today we witnessed something the galaxy said would never happen. The crowd turned toward him. Tears streaked his dusty face. Humans came. Humans saved us. The crowd murmured, emotional. The young miner continued, voice shaking. The galaxy thinks humans are weak. But today we saw the truth. Humans are strong. Humans keep promises. Humans repay debts. The last line echoed across the colony like a thunderclap. The people repeated it. Humans repay debts. Humans repay debts. Humans repay debts. The chant rose like a heartbeat, filling the broken halls, bouncing off metal walls, reaching even the human warship above. Inside the ship, the commander paused as the chant echoed through comm channels. For the first time since awakening the repayment protocols, he smiled. The AI detected the upward curve of his mouth. Commander, it said, confused, are you happy? He chuckled. Yes. The AI calculated for a moment. I do not understand. The commander placed a hand on the central console. These people believed the galaxy had abandoned them, but we showed them humanity keeps its word. The AI hummed. You speak as if this is important. The commander nodded. It is important. Because the galaxy forgets. But we don't. The AI processed his words silently. But while the humans found meaning in their duty, far away, in the shining towers of the Elvery Empire, their ruler, Empress Nicera, watched the footage of the battle with narrow eyes. Her advisors trembled. My Empress, the humans used weapons we cannot track, shields we cannot break, and ships we have never seen. She raised her hand, silencing them. And what of it? She asked coldly. Do you fear them? The advisor swallowed. Shouldn't we? Nicera stood from her throne, her tall, elegant form casting a sharp shadow across the room. Humans repay debts. Yes. But they also take revenge. And we wronged them long ago. The room fell silent. The Empress whispered, and they have not forgotten. The human commander didn't know any of this yet. His ship was still watching over Darathai 9. But he could feel the galaxy shifting, the way space felt heavier, the way distant transmissions carried a tremble. War was coming, not because humanity wanted it, but because the galaxy feared what humanity had become. He stood at the bridge and closed his eyes for a moment, letting the memories of ancient battles flow through him. Humanity survived worse, he whispered. We will survive this too. Then he opened his eyes, raised his hand, and gave the order. Prepare for jump. Set course for the council borders. The crew responded immediately. Engines warmed. Shields hummed. The silent warship turned, casting a final protective shadow over the colony. Below, the people stared up, hands over their hearts, whispering blessings. Children waved. Elders bowed. Miners saluted. The colony leader spoke quietly, safe travels, humans. May the galaxy learn your truth. The warship's engines glowed brighter. Space bent around it. And just before it vanished into the jump stream, it sent one final message to the colony, written in ancient Terran words: "A friend saved is a debt repaid. A debt repaid is a bond eternal." Then the warship disappeared into the stars, leaving behind a moon full of hope and a galaxy full of fear. The jump through hyperspace was silent, smooth, almost gentle, but beneath that calm surface the human warship carried a storm. Its engines hummed with ancient power, its hull glowing faintly with blue war runes that once terrified entire armadas. The commander stood at the center of the bridge, hands clasped behind him, staring into the swirling tunnel of warped starlight ahead. The crew worked in complete silence. They didn't need spoken orders. Every human on that ship had grown up with stories of the great starfall, stories of the allies who saved their dying ancestors, stories that taught them one unbreakable truth: humanity protects its own and protects its friends. But now, as the warship neared the borders of the Galactic Council, the mood shifted. The AI broke the silence. "Commander, we are approaching the Council surveillance zone. Long-range scanners detecting multiple observation drones. Their signals indicate fear." The commander exhaled softly. "They are watching us." "Yes," the AI answered, "but they do not understand us." The commander nodded slowly. "They never did." When the ship exited hyperspace, the view outside changed instantly. Instead of the lonely stars near Darathai 9, the warship now drifted at the boundaries of the most political, manipulative, and powerful region of the galaxy, the Galactic Council frontier. The stars here were bright. Trade routes glimmered like shining rivers. Massive stations spun slowly in the void. But beneath all that beauty, tension simmered like a hidden fire. And when the human warship appeared, that fire exploded into panic. Dozens of Council observation drones swiveled toward the human ship, their golden frames trembling as they scanned the hull, the energy readings, the silent systems. Messages flew between Council networks at terrifying speed. Human vessel detected. Unknown human class. Weapon signatures beyond classification. Disturbance reported in Skrev territory, entire fleet destroyed. The Council headquarters buzzed like a hive hit with a hammer. Inside a tall crystalline chamber, councillors watched holograms of the human warship floating like a giant shadow among their satellites. Their faces, scaled, feathered, armored, twisted with confusion and dread. One councillor slammed his hand on the table. "Why are humans here? Why now? They have never interfered in Council matters." Another responded shakily, "Because they repaid a debt on Darathai 9. And if their myths are true, they will repay others too." The room fell silent. Everyone knew the stories the galaxy mocked for centuries. Humans never forget. Humans repay everything. Humans protect with a fury unmatched. The empires had laughed. Now they weren't laughing. Meanwhile, the human commander watched the commotion from inside the ship. The AI displayed flashing Council messages. "They are panicking," the AI observed. The commander nodded. "Good. A little fear keeps them cautious." The AI processed that. "Will you speak to them?" The commander shook his head. "Not yet. Let them sweat first." But before he could turn away, a new alert flashed, this one unexpected. "Commander," the AI whispered, almost sounding unsure, "I detect a pattern, a coded pulse, hidden within the Council's surveillance signal." The commander frowned. "Is it hostile?" "No," the AI said. "It is ancient." The commander's eyes narrowed. "Play it." A soft rhythmic pulse echoed across the bridge. 3 slow beats, 2 fast beats, 1 long beat. The commander froze. That wasn't a threat. That wasn't a Council trick. That was something else. "That's," he whispered. "That's old Terran distress code." The AI confirmed. "Yes, but it is not coming from humans." The commander's heartbeat thundered. "Then who is sending it?" The AI highlighted a location, a massive Council station orbiting a nearby star. "The signal originates inside that station," it said. The commander's jaw tightened. So someone in the station knows our old codes. He took a sharp breath. Prepare for stealth approach. Cloak the hull. Instantly, the human warship dimmed, disappearing like a ghost vanishing into smoke. The Council drones spun wildly, confused, their sensors losing track of the ship entirely. On the Council station, alarms sounded as technicians screamed, "We lost the human vessel. Find it. Find it now." But the warship was already sliding through the shadows of space, moving with predator-like silence toward the station that had called for help in a language only humans would recognize. Inside the Council station, a lone figure moved through dim maintenance tunnels. Cloaked, small, hands trembling, the figure held a tiny device pulsating with the same ancient rhythm. The figure whispered, "Please, please let them hear me." This was no counselor, no spy, no soldier. It was a child, a small alien child, barely 10 cycles old, wearing a simple gray cloak, eyes wide with fear. She hid in the shadows as armored Council guards rushed past her, their boots echoing against metal floors. The child squeezed the device tighter. "Come on, humans. You promised." Tears slipped down her cheeks. She wasn't supposed to know the code. She wasn't supposed to have the device. But her grandfather, one of the old survivors of the Great Starfall, had given it to her before he died. "If the galaxy ever turns dark," he had said, "use this. Humans will hear it. Humans will help you. They always return." And now she was alone in a station that had become a trap. The Council had quietly begun purging all species connected to humanity's old alliances. Her family had been taken. Her parents dragged away in chains. She was the only one who escaped. And she was running out of time. Then, the tunnel lights flickered. She froze. Something was coming. But it wasn't Council soldiers. It wasn't the Skrev. It wasn't danger. No. It was quiet. Too quiet. A breeze, inside a sealed space station, brushed gently across her cheek. Then the shadows shifted. A tall shape stepped out of the darkness with armored boots quieter than dust. A figure in sleek black armor, blue runes glowing faintly across the chest. The girl stumbled backward, eyes wide. The figure knelt slowly, a mirrored helmet tilted toward her. And then, a deep, warm voice said, "You called for us." The girl burst into tears. I didn't know if it would work," she cried. The human commander gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "It always works. We never ignore our own code." She clung to his arm, shaking. "They took my family. They said we were traitors. They said anyone who helped humans is the enemy now." The commander's eyes hardened behind the visor. "Not anymore." The human warship decloaked outside the station, causing panic in every Council monitoring room. "The human ship is inside our perimeter. How did it get past our shields? Why can't we track it?" The Grand Counselor stood, voice cracking. "What do they want? Why are they here?" The answer came in the form of a single message broadcast across the station. The commander's voice echoed everywhere. "To the Galactic Council, we know you have begun targeting our old allies. This ends today." Panic spread like wildfire. Guards scrambled. Officers shouted orders. But the human commander had already moved through the station, the little girl hiding safely behind him. Council soldiers tried to block the corridor ahead. "Human, stand down." The commander didn't even slow down. The AI activated a proximity shield, silent, invisible, but impossibly strong. The soldiers' weapons jammed. Their armor froze. Their comms failed. The soldiers collapsed one by one, unconscious but unharmed, as the commander walked through them like a shadow walking through fog. He reached a locked containment door. Behind it, terrified voices whispered, "Her family." The girl ran forward, tears streaming. "Mama! Papa!" The commander placed his hand on the door. Blue runes glowed. Metal melted like wax under his touch. He stepped aside as the girl threw herself into her mother's arms. Her parents clutched her desperately, crying, thanking him again and again. The father bowed deeply. "Humans, we thought you were gone." The commander shook his head. "Not gone. Just quiet. The mother wiped her eyes. Why help us? His voice softened. Because your people once helped mine. And humanity repays every debt. But the reunion was cut short as the station alarm changed tone. Sharp, aggressive, fearful. The council was deploying their elite guard. Hundreds of armored troops storming the corridors. The commander lifted the child into his arms. We're leaving. Now. The family followed closely, hearts racing. Council troops filled the hall behind them. But before they could fire, the human warship docked with the station using a technique no alien had seen, metaphase coupling. The ship didn't attach to the station. It merged with it. A single door opened directly into the heart of the station, and human soldiers, silent, organized, terrifying, stepped out. They formed a shield around the rescued family as the commander walked them aboard. The council troops hesitated. Their commanding officer screamed, "Stop them!" But the humans didn't fire. They didn't shout. They didn't kill. They simply walked. The officer trembled. What are they? Someone whispered, the stories were true. Humans become monsters when protecting their own. When the human ship disengaged, the commander sent one final broadcast. His voice filled the station with cold, controlled fury, to the Galactic Council. Harm any species connected to humanity, and we will respond. We repay every debt. We avenge every wrong. Choose wisely. Then the warship vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind a station full of fear, and a galaxy that finally realized humanity was not rising. Humanity had already risen. The jump through hyperspace was short, but the silence afterward felt heavy, like the air itself was holding its breath. The rescued family sat near the back of the human warship's medical bay, wrapped in blankets, drinking warm fluids, trying to calm their shaking bodies. The little girl still clung to the human commander's arm every time he walked past, afraid he would disappear just like everything else in her life had. Her mother watched her with soft eyes full of gratitude and fear mixed together. Fear not of the humans, but of the galaxy they now lived in, a galaxy where kindness had become dangerous. The commander stood at the center of the bay, helmet under his arm, his expression unreadable in the dim blue light. His eyes drifted to the family again and again, as if something inside him refused to let them out of sight. The AI finally broke the silence. Commander, the family's vitals have stabilized. He nodded but said nothing. The AI continued, however, a new transmission has arrived. It is marked as a council warning. The commander's jaw tightened. Play it. A hologram flickered to life above the central table. A counselor with reptilian features, voice dripping with arrogance. To the human vessel, your interference in council space violates multiple treaties. Return the prisoners you stole and surrender. The commander's eyes narrowed dangerously. Prisoners? He whispered. The counselor hissed. Yes. They were being held for questioning regarding treason against the council. By taking them, you declare hostility. The commander stepped closer to the hologram, his voice calm but filled with a coldness that could freeze stars. You abducted children, locked families in cells, threatened to purge anyone connected to humanity, and you dare call them traitors. The counselor's pupils shrank. Humans must understand. No, the commander snapped softly, you understand. Then he ended the transmission with a flick of his fingers. The eye's voice softened. Commander, their fear is increasing. The commander whispered, good. It means they know they crossed a line. He turned toward the viewport, staring at the swirling galaxy outside. And they will learn what happens when humanity's allies are threatened. But beneath the steel in his voice, there was something else, a quiet ache, a weight he had carried for too long. Memories he had buried began rising like ghosts. He remembered old images of human refugees crying beneath broken sky domes. He remembered alien soldiers shielding starving humans with their own bodies. He remembered promises whispered between dying breaths. And he remembered the pain of losing people he cared about when the galaxy turned its back on Earth. The AI detected the shift in his heartbeat. Commander, you are distressed. He closed his eyes. I'm remembering, he said softly, remembering what it felt like when no one helped us. The AI processed this, then asked, does helping them ease the burden? A faint smile touched the commander's lips. It eases the past, but it doesn't erase it. The AI grew quiet. Meanwhile, in the family's quarters, the little girl sat on a bed, legs folded under her, clutching a small metal locket shaped like a star. Her father approached gently. Do you want to talk about it? He asked. She shook her head. Tears formed in her eyes. I was so scared, her voice cracked. But then the humans came. Grandpa said they would. He said humans always come. But I didn't believe him until today. Her mother wrapped an arm around her. Humans saved us before you were born, sweetheart. They saved our world when we had nothing. We owe them everything. The girl looked up, her voice small. But, will they always come? The father smiled sadly. As long as they live, yes. But his eyes carried a deeper truth. He worried whether humanity could protect them forever. He worried whether the galaxy would let humans survive long enough to keep their promises. At that moment, the ship shook slightly. Not from impact, but from the activation of deep internal systems. The AI announced, Commander, all jump drives are online. Long-range sensors detect malicious council activity. The commander walked to the command deck. Show me. The hologram expanded into a giant map of the region. Red markers blinked across the council sphere, hidden fleets mobilizing, stealth ships forming barriers, communication relays pulsing with encoded orders. The AI zoomed in on one cluster of signals. This fleet, it reported, is moving toward Darathai 9. The commander's heart dropped. They're going after the colony. Yes, the AI confirmed. Their intention is unclear, but heavily armed vessels are gathering. The commander clenched his fists. They want to punish the colony for accepting our help. He inhaled slowly, deeply, letting the fury inside him settle into cold purpose. Prepare the fleet. The AI hesitated. Commander, are you certain? Revealing the fleet will expose our true strength. The commander turned toward the screen, his eyes cold as void. The galaxy wants to harm the people who once saved us. They want to attack those who trusted humanity. They want to erase the species that showed mercy to a dying Earth. He leaned forward slightly, voice dropping into a low, terrifying whisper. Expose everything. The AI did not argue. Within seconds, encrypted signals shot across hyperspace channels, reaching hidden human outposts carved into asteroids, encrypted vaults beneath shattered moons, cloaked hangars floating in empty space. And across the galaxy, the human fleet woke up. Engines roared. Titans rumbled. Ancient warships older than most empires activated with deep metallic groans. One by one, they emerged, massive dreadnoughts, stealth cruisers, carriers with wings like black steel. They rose from shadows like ghosts returning to battle. And every ship carried the same symbol, a glowing blue crest of Earth. Back aboard the human flagship, the rescued girl watched in or as ship after ship appeared on the screens. Her small voice trembled. These are all humans. The commander knelt beside her. Yes, and every one of them will protect you. Her eyes sparkled. And the colony. He nodded. And the colony. And anyone who keeps humanity's old promise. She leaned forward and hugged him tightly, surprising him. He froze, then gently placed a hand on her back. The moment was brief but powerful. One small, fragile life held in the arms of a soldier forged by ancient wars. It reminded him why he fought, why he protected, why humanity had built these ships in the shadows. The girl pulled back, wiping her tears. Then, the galaxy can't hurt us, right? The commander looked into her hopeful eyes too young for such fear, and whispered, not while we're alive. As the human fleet formed a massive formation in the darkness, the council sensors began to explode with warnings. Unknown fleet detected. Size, massive. Energy level, unmatched. In the council chamber, panic erupted. Humans have a fleet. Impossible. They were supposed to be behind on technology. How did they build this without us knowing? One counselor whispered in horror, "What have the humans become?" No one had the courage to answer. The commander stood on the bridge as the final ship took position. The AI spoke softly. "Commander, the fleet awaits your command." He gazed out at the formation, hundreds of ships gleaming with deadly silence. He inhaled deeply. "Set a course for Darathai 9. "Yes, Commander." Engines roared. The fleet aligned. The stars shimmered as human ships prepared to jump. And for a moment, for a brief, breathtaking moment, the galaxy seemed to pause. A quiet before a storm. A whisper before a roar. The commander placed his helmet back on, the visor glowing with a blue symbol. He whispered, barely audible, "Time to repay the debts of those who protected us." Then he raised his hand. "Jump." In a flash of blue light, the human fleet vanished from the edge of the council's space, leaving behind only silence and the echo of a terrifying truth. Humanity had not just awakened. Humanity had returned to protect the galaxy's forgotten hearts. And the galaxy shook in fear. The human fleet ripped out of hyperspace with the silent precision of a blade sliding out of its sheath. Every ship arriving in perfect formation, every engine glowing with cold blue fire that reflected against the dead stars above Darathai 9. The colony below was quiet, unaware of the danger moving toward them, unaware of the Council's secret punishment fleet gathering in the dark, unaware that humanity had come back with a force so massive it made the sky tremble. The commander stood at the center of the flagship's bridge as the stars returned to focus around them. His eyes scanned the region instinctively. "AI, status," he said softly. The AI replied instantly, "The human fleet is stable. All ships aligned. Weapons ready. Shields active." He nodded, calm but burning from inside. "And the Council fleet?" The AI dimmed the light slightly, as if bracing the ship for bad news. "Behind the moon's shadow," it whispered. "They are hiding, preparing to attack the colony." The commander's muscles tightened. Then they came to finish what the Skrev started. The AI flickered with anger. "Yes, and they do not expect us." The commander walked toward the observation window, staring at the distant silhouettes of Council cruisers waiting like predators behind the moon. He could see their engines pulsing faintly, dozens of warships armed with plasma lances, rail cannons, disruptor beams. He could imagine the counselor in charge, sitting comfortably in a padded command chair, convinced the colony was weak, convinced nobody would interfere, convinced humanity would never dare challenge them openly. But that illusion was about to shatter like glass under a hammer. The commander tapped his visor once. "Open all channels," he ordered. The AI obeyed. Every human ship went silent. Every crew member straightened. Every soldier on every deck stopped breathing for half a second. The commander spoke with a voice that carried across the fleet. "We stand here today for one reason. A colony once saved humanity when no one else would. Now the Council wants to destroy them." He paused, letting the weight of that truth sink into every soul listening. "We will not allow it." A low pulse vibrated through the fleet, not sound, but unity, a shared heartbeat passing through armored hulls and human spirits like a wave. Then the commander whispered one sentence that made the stars feel smaller: "Prepare the shield of Earth." Instantly, every human ship activated tether links. Blue energy beams shot between vessels, connecting them like threads in a spiderweb. The fleet shifted formation, creating a massive rotating barrier, a human shield around the colony, glowing brighter and brighter until it looked like a newborn star. Down on the colony surface, workers pointed at the sky, trembling. Children shouted to their parents, "What is that? Is it humans? Are they protecting us?" The colony leader stepped outside, his breath stolen by the sight. "They came back," he whispered, voice breaking. "They really came back." But while the colony watched in awe, the Council watched in terror. Inside a large flagship hidden behind the moon, a Council fleet commander stared at the human barrier with horror. "Impossible," he muttered. "Humans aren't capable of this. Their technology shouldn't be this advanced." An officer swallowed nervously. Should we proceed? The commander hesitated, pride struggling against fear. Yes, fire on the colony. Humans can't stop all of us. He raised his hand. All ships, prepare weapons. The sky trembled as dozens of council vessels charged their cannons. The stars themselves dimmed beneath the growing energy. The commander on the human flagship observed their movement, unmoving, unblinking. The colony leader shouted into the air, "Humans, they're going to attack." The AI responded instantly on every human channel, council weapons charging. Incoming coordinated strike. The commander lifted his hand slowly. Human fleet, every captain straightened. Every gunner held his breath. Every engineer tightened their grip on the controls. The commander's voice dropped to a chilling whisper, "Hold the line." The council unleashed everything in a single blast. Plasma beams the size of rivers. Disruptor waves that could tear planets apart. Shock torpedoes that bent space. All of it surged toward the colony, bright enough to blind the void, violent enough to shatter moons. The colony screamed. Children hid. Workers clutched each other. The leader closed his eyes, tears falling. But the moment the blast hit the human shield, something incredible happened. The energy didn't break through. It didn't overwhelm. It didn't even shake the formation. Instead, the shield absorbed it. Fully, silently, effortlessly. Like the humans were drinking the attack whole. Ripples spread across the blue dome, lighting up the sky like a soft ocean wave. Then the shield stabilized again, glowing brighter than before, undamaged, untouched, unbroken. On the colony surface, the people cried out, not from fear now but from disbelief. They stopped it. Humans are protecting us. We're saved. The council commander staggered back, eyes wide. What is their shield made of? No one answered. No one could. The humans hadn't built a shield. They had built a promise. Inside the human flagship, the commander turned his head to the AI. Absorption capacity. 98% unused, the AI replied. We can withstand thousands of strikes without strain. The commander nodded. Good. Then he turned to the fleet. Return the message. As if obeying a god, the human ships realigned instantly. Their energy beams brightened. Their hulls vibrated faintly. Their runes glowed brighter. And then, the entire fleet fired at once. But they did not aim at the colony. They aimed at the attackers. Thousands of blue beams shot forward with perfect silence. No roar. No thunder. No explosion. Just clean, pure energy carving through council ships with surgical, terrifying precision. Council warships evaporated like sand in fire. Shields collapsed. Armor melted. Engines failed. Ships blinked out like dying candles. Within seconds, half the council fleet was gone. No debris. No smoke. No survivors. Just absence, like the universe simply erased them. The remaining council ships scrambled in panic. The fleet commander screamed, "Retreat! Retreat now!" But their engines wouldn't respond. The human AI had already hacked them. The human commander finally spoke, voice calm but carrying the weight of humanity's ancient pain. You attacked our allies. You threatened innocent lives. You forgot your place. He paused. Now the galaxy will remember. Then he issued the order the council would fear for centuries: disable their ships, cripple their weapons, leave them adrift. Let them tell the galaxy who they challenged. The human fleet obeyed instantly, striking each remaining ship with precise pulses that shut down their cores, melted their weapons, locked their systems, and left them floating helplessly. No killing. No slaughter. No cruelty. Humans didn't destroy them. Humans let them live, to carry a warning. A warning more terrifying than death. Down on the colony, people fell to their knees. They whispered prayers. They cried. They hugged their children. Because humanity, once weak, once mocked, once nearly extinct, had become the shield of the forgotten. The guardian of the helpless. The storm the galaxy feared. The commander watched the floating council wrecks silently. "Let them drift," he said. "Let every empire see their humiliation." The AI pulsed. Message transmitted to all council channels. "They know what happened." The commander turned to the stars. "Good. The galaxy should never forget what happens when they threaten a species humanity owes a debt to." As the fleet repositioned above the colony, the leader stepped outside, tears falling freely. He looked up at the massive glowing shield, at the hundreds of human warships orbiting like guardians of legend, and whispered, "Humans, you changed our fate." And inside the flagship, the commander whispered back, though no one heard him, "No, you changed ours first." The galaxy did not sleep that night. Every empire, every council chamber, every spy network, every military outpost felt the shockwave of what humanity had done above Darathai 9. Council ships, once feared symbols of authority, now drifted helplessly through space like broken toys, their weapons melted, their engines frozen, their communications silent. Videos of the human fleet absorbing the council's attacks spread through the dark web hologrids faster than wildfire. Species who had been too afraid to speak suddenly whispered in the shadows. Humans stopped the council. Humans protected a colony the council abandoned. Humans are powerful again. Humans repaid a debt. Fear spread. Hope spread. Confusion spread. The galaxy trembled beneath the weight of a truth it had buried for centuries. Humanity had returned. Inside the human flagship, however, the atmosphere felt strangely quiet. Not triumphant, not loud, not celebratory. Quiet. Heavy. Focused. Because the commander knew this wasn't the end. This was the beginning of something bigger, something unstoppable, something dangerous. The AI dimmed the lights slightly. "Commander," it said gently, "the colony has sent a message. They request your presence." The commander nodded. "Prepare a dropship," he said, but his voice carried the weight of someone who had seen too many wars. He picked up his helmet, walked down the silver corridor, and entered the dropship bay. The rescued little girl ran forward the moment she saw him. "You're going down to the colony? Can I come?" Her mother stepped forward quickly, shaking her head. But the commander knelt to the child's height, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Not this time," he said softly. "But soon. There is something I must do." The girl hugged him suddenly, tightly, with innocence only a child could give. "Please don't leave us." The commander hesitated, just a second, then placed a hand on her back. "I'm not leaving. I'm making sure you stay safe." She finally let go, wiping her tears with small hands. The dropship doors closed. Engines hummed softly. The ship cut through the atmosphere like a falling star, a streak of blue light descending slowly toward the surface of Darathai 9. The colony watched from below, gathering in the streets, injured miners leaning on support beams, children standing on rooftops, elders kneeling in quiet prayer. The dropship landed gently, its ramp unfolding like a piece of glowing metal. When the commander stepped out, the entire colony went silent. They had seen him through screens. They had seen his power through legends. But seeing him walk across their cracked streets, his boots touching their soil, his armor absorbing their sunlight, it felt surreal, impossible, like an angel stepping into the world of the forgotten. The colony leader approached him slowly, head bowed, tears trembling in his eyes. "Commander, I have no words to thank you," he said, voice cracking. "You saved us. Again." The commander shook his head slightly. "Your people saved ours long before that." The leader sobbed softly. "We always believed those were just ancient tales." His voice broke. "But today, we saw the truth." Around them, the colony gathered in a circle, staring at the armored human with awe, gratitude, and something else, trust. The commander stepped forward, looking at the faces of the children, the families, the survivors. His expression softened beneath the helmet as he spoke. "Your ancestors saved human children during the Great Starfall. The galaxy may forget such things, but humanity does not." A murmur spread through the crowd. Elderly aliens touched their hearts. Young ones blinked through tears. The colony leader whispered, "The council would have let us die." The commander nodded. They still want you dead. Gasps filled the crowd. But, he extended his arm toward the sky, where shadows of human warships glowed faintly behind the clouds. You are under our protection now. The colony erupted into crying and relieved sobs, their bodies trembling from the overwhelming emotion of finally being safe. But while the colony celebrated, darkness brewed elsewhere. In the council's secret chamber, a massive black room without windows, high-ranking councillors met in panic. The Supreme Councillor slammed her claws onto the table. Humanity cannot be allowed to rise. Look what they did today. A reptilian councillor hissed, we cannot defeat them. Their technology is beyond ours. A tall avian councillor fluffed his feathers, voice shaking. Then we must use something else. The room fell silent. What? Someone whispered. The avian answered. Fear. Lies. Manipulation. We will turn the galaxy against the humans before they build alliances. We will make humanity look like a threat. We will paint them as monsters. The Supreme Councillor nodded slowly. Begin the propaganda. Blame the Skrev massacre on humans. Accuse them of invading Council territory. Spread fear. If we cannot beat them with weapons, we will beat them with words. And so, the great political war began. But humanity was not blind. Back on the colony, the commander's visor blinked red with incoming alerts. Commander, the AI said urgently in his ear, the Council is spreading misinformation across the galaxy. The commander exhaled in frustration. Of course they are. They claim you attacked them first, the AI continued. They say you wiped out innocent ships. They call you a danger to peace. The commander lifted his head, watching children play in the streets with newfound safety, watching families reunite under sunlight, watching people rebuild hope. His jaw tightened. They're afraid. And now they're desperate. What will you do? The AI asked in a whisper. The commander looked at the colony, at the broken structures, at the survivors of cruelty, and something old and heavy filled his voice. We show them the truth. But before the commander could return to the dropship, the colony leader grabbed his arm. Commander, there is something you must see, he said urgently. Something your people left with hours long ago. Confused, the commander followed him deep into the colony's old archives. Dark hallways filled with dust-covered crates and ancient relics. They reached a sealed chamber, protected by an old human lock. The leader placed a small device on the panel. It clicked. The door slid open with a metallic groan. Inside, dim lights flickered to life, revealing a room full of old human artifacts. Photos, data crystals, a journal, a flag of Earth folded neatly under glass. The commander stepped forward, stunned. How? The leader smiled sadly. Our ancestors kept them. They said a day would come when humans would return, and these items would help you remember who you were, who you are. The commander walked toward a small hologram projector. When he touched it, an old recording played, grainy, flickering, but powerful. A human voice spoke through the static. We leave this for our friends. If humanity falls, remember us. If humanity rises, remind us of who we were. The commander's breath caught. Memory after memory hit him. Ancient ruins, broken Earth cities, children hiding in caves while empires ignored their cries. And now, these relics waited quietly for centuries, preserved by an alien species humanity had once saved. The commander touched the old Earth flag gently. They saved our history, he whispered. The colony leader nodded. Because you saved our people first. For a moment, the commander couldn't speak. The weight of emotion pressed against his chest. Gratitude, anger, hope, pain, pride, sorrow, all tangled together. Finally, he whispered, "Thank you for keeping this safe." The leader bowed deeply. "Thank humanity for keeping us alive." The commander returned to the surface with the flag folded between his hands like a sacred treasure. He looked at the sky, where the human fleet waited like silent angels carved from steel. AI, he said quietly, prepare a transmission to Earth. The galaxy wants a political war, then we respond. The AI asked softly, What message should we send? The commander raised the folded flag to his chest, his voice steady, powerful, and filled with the full weight of humanity's soul. Tell Earth this. Our allies are under attack. The Council moves against us. It's time for humanity to rise. And as that message spread across the stars, every empire felt the air grow colder, every council chamber trembled, every spy shivered, every warlord paused, and every forgotten species found hope. Because humanity wasn't just repaying a debt anymore. Humanity was preparing to change the galaxy forever. The message the commander sent, a single line carried on encrypted human channels, raced across the hidden Terran network faster than any council weapon, faster than any empire's fear, faster than the lies spreading through diplomatic stations. Every human outpost, every sleeper fleet, every underground vault, every secret research station felt the tremor of that call. On Mars, old generals lifted their heads. On Europa, hidden hangars rumbled open. On Ganymede, ancient weapon cores hummed awake after centuries of silence. On Earth itself, blue, calm, beautiful. Deep bunkers lit up with long-forgotten symbols. Humanity had slept in the shadows long enough. Now the shadows were rising around them, turning into wings. The human flagship above Darathai, 9 vibrated faintly as massive quantum relays activated, linking every human asset across the galaxy into a singular unified network. The Eye's voice shifted slightly, becoming layered, like thousands of voices speaking the same word at once. Commander, the AI said, Earth is responding. The commander stood still, breath caught in his chest as he watched the main holoscreen shimmer. Then a symbol appeared, the blue and silver seal of the Terran High Council. A new hologram flickered to life, the Terran Grand Marshal herself, standing tall in ceremonial armor decorated with the flags of old Earth nations. Her eyes were sharp, ancient, wise, carrying both the history of humanity and the fire of everything humans had become. Commander Varin, she said in a low, powerful voice, your message has reached us. He bowed his head. We could not stay silent any longer, Grand Marshal. The Council targets our oldest allies. They punish those who once saved us. They spread lies. They seek war. The Grand Marshal nodded slowly. We know. Their broadcasts have reached us. They dare accuse humanity of atrocities they committed themselves. Her gaze hardened. The galaxy believes we are weak. They believe we hid out of fear. Her voice dropped to a terrifying whisper. They have forgotten the truth. Humanity does not fear war. Humanity fears losing those we love. The commander closed his eyes briefly. Then what are your orders? The Grand Marshal lifted her chin. Your orders are simple, Commander Varin. Protect the colony. Expose the Council's crimes. And prepare the galaxy for what comes next. Varin breathed in slowly. Is Earth mobilizing? The Grand Marshal's eyes glowed faintly. Yes, Earth rises. As the hologram faded, the AI pulsed calmly. Commander, the Terran fleets are coming online. Old vessels, prototypes, hidden dreadnoughts, everything is awakening. The commander turned to the window. Stars reflected against his visor like shards of silver. Then we are no longer alone, he whispered. The AI nodded softly. No. Humanity stands together again. Below him, the colony of Darathai 9 had transformed. People rebuilt structures with renewed purpose. Children played safely under the protective human fleet. Families cried but smiled through their tears. Medical teams treated the injured. Food was distributed. Homes were restored. And everywhere he looked, the humans were present. Quiet, efficient, gentle, helping the species that once helped them long ago. The colony leader approached the commander again. The people want to thank you, he said. But they don't know how. The commander shook his head. You don't thank us. You lived up to your promises. Now we are living up to ours. The leader bowed deeply, voice trembling. Still, you have changed our future forever. But even as hope spread across the colony, fear spread across the galaxy. The council chambers grew chaotic. Holograms flickered with panicked messages. Human fleets are appearing everywhere. They have more ships than we estimated. Their shields are impenetrable. Their weapons bypass our defenses. They have cloaking tech far beyond our understanding. The Supreme Counselor slammed her claws on the table. We must unify the empires. Call the Elvery. Call the Dravok. Call everyone. But the empires did not respond. Not out of refusal, but out of fear. In the Elvery capital, Empress Nicera watched footage of the humans shielding Darathai 9. For the first time in her reign, she felt something she never admitted: respect. Terran resolve, she whispered. It is stronger than we remembered. Meanwhile, far from the Council's reach, small species who were once oppressed or ignored celebrated quietly. They spread messages through encrypted channels. Humans returned. The ancient promise lives. A new protector has risen. Not everyone feared humanity. Some prayed for humanity. But the Council planned to strike back. They gathered their elite warships, massive vessels built to intimidate entire sectors, painted with the Council's gold and black insignia. They prepared a fleet to surround the human flagship. They intended to demand surrender, to force compliance, to show the galaxy they still controlled everything. The commander felt the disturbance before the sensors even confirmed it. Council fleet approaching, the AI announced. 50 ships. Heavy artillery. High threat class. The commander stepped forward. Position our fleet between the colony and the Council. No one harms Darathai 9. The human ships moved like dancers, silent, graceful, deadly, forming a barrier thicker and stronger than anything the colony had ever seen. When the Council fleet dropped out of hyperspace, they were met not by a small human ship, but by an armada ready to burn stars. The Council commander contacted them immediately. Human vessel, he snarled across the channel, stand down. You are violating Council law. The human commander responded calmly, you tried to destroy innocent lives. You lied to the galaxy. You betrayed your own promises. We are not the ones violating anything. The Councilor's face twisted. Humans do not get to accuse the Council. The commander lifted a small hologram, a recording of the Council ordering the attack on Darathai 9. He broadcast it publicly. Across the galaxy. Every empire saw it. Every ally saw it. Every suppressed species saw it. Gasps, cries, outrage exploded across the network. The Council was exposed. Their lies shattered. You attacked your own colony, the commander said softly. You call them traitors. But it is you who have become the enemy of all. The Council fleet faltered. Some ships powered down weapons immediately. Others drifted in fear. Some even turned away. The Council commander screamed, fire on the humans. But no one moved. No captain obeyed. Because they knew the truth. And because they saw what happened to the last fleet that tried. The commander raised his hand slowly, not in attack, but in final warning. We do not want war. But we will not let you harm the innocent again. The Council commander shouted insults. Weak, desperate, pathetic. The humans simply stared back, unshaken. Then something extraordinary happened. A small Council ship broke formation. Its captain appeared on screen. Commander Varin, he said, bowing his head, I resign my post. I will not fight humanity. Not after what I have seen. Several other captains followed. One by one, ships lowered their shields. Weapons deactivated. Engines dimmed. The Council fleet collapsed, not by human fire, not by destruction, but by truth. Within minutes, half the fleet abandoned the Council's orders. Others fled. The rest drifted in uncertainty. The Supreme Counselor watched from her chamber in horror. No, no, this cannot be. She finally realized something the galaxy had forgotten. Power built on fear collapses the moment a greater fear appears. But power built on loyalty, like humanity's debts, never breaks. Above Darathai 9, the commander turned away from the screen. AI, he said quietly, it's over. The AI pulsed softly. We have won without firing a shot. The commander stepped toward the window. He watched the Council fleet scatter like frightened birds. No, he murmured. We haven't won. We simply reminded the galaxy who we are. Below, the colony erupted into celebration. Shouts, tears, songs, relief. A little girl lifted an improvised flag, a drawing of Earth's symbol she made on a scrap of cloth, and waved it proudly. Her parents held her as she pointed toward the human flagship with shining eyes. "That's our protector," she whispered. "Those are the humans Grandpa told me about." The commander watched her from above. He felt something warm in his chest. Hope. A rare feeling for a man shaped by war. He whispered softly to himself, "We repaid the debt. And now, we build a future." As the human fleet powered down, engines pulsing with calm blue light, the stars around them seemed brighter. The galaxy was changing. The council had fallen from grace. The oppressed had found a voice. The forgotten had found a guardian. And humanity, once nearly extinct, once cast aside, once mocked as weak, now stood as the most powerful force in the known universe. The commander lifted the folded Earth flag the colony had preserved for centuries. He placed it gently on the command console and said the final sentence that echoed through the ship, through the colony, through the galaxy, through history: humanity repays every debt, and we never abandon those who stood by us. And with that, the warship turned its bow toward the stars, not to conquer, not to destroy, but to protect. The galaxy finally understood. Humans were not the danger. Humans were the promise fulfilled. And their rise had only just begun.